Yeah, so I took myself down to London Fashion Week this week.
Mm-hmm.
Of course, there's lots of women on show,
Yeah.
but there was lots of men kind of orchestrating the day and the events and whatnot. It was a bizarre kind of dynamic, I must say. Do you have an insight into the fashion scene in general?
Well, I mean, it's something that I know about rather than knowing the ins and outs of it. I've got a cousin who works as a designer, fashion designer, who was always interested in fashion. But I mean, it doesn't surprise me if you consider that the world we live in is still very much male dominated in terms of work, in terms of politics, in terms of socioeconomic status. So I'm not surprised by that at all. It is a bizarre dynamic in the sense that the women who are there, generally, like you said earlier, are there to be looked at on display, i.e. modeling things down the catwalk. Which I always find it staggering because in many ways the fashion industry claims to be one of the most liberal industries in the world in terms of its openness, in terms of sexual orientation, in terms of what is regarded as fashionable, in terms of getting fresh ideas, in terms of creativity, you might say. But even that industry continues to be male-dominated, even with fashion designers. In fact, the women you do see are generally models who are there to be looked at, while literally human clothing hangers walking down the catwalk modeling clothes designed by men. And of course the photographers, there are a lot of photographers, male photographers, more so than female photographers in the fashion industry.
I don't see one female photographer as a large group of men flashing away.
Which still perpetuates the idea that a woman is essentially there to be looked at, on display, even in a supposedly liberal job industry such as the fashion industry. Because in recent years, the fashion industry itself has made leaps and bounds in terms of representing a fair platform, in terms of who models their clothing, who campaigns their products.
Yeah.
There are transgender models that are up and running that have become very popular, which is a good thing. There are Muslim models that have known to model for famous designers on the catwalk. They've also used more Asian and black or Latina models, which I think is great. So in that sense, there's been that improvement. But it's still surprisingly male-dominated.
Yeah.
Which just once again proves to me that we haven't made the progress we claim to have made when we talk about how the world has developed and the place of women in general at large. I spoke to a friend of mine a few weeks ago from South Africa, a good friend of mine from university, and we were talking about the staggering rape statistics in our country, in South Africa. Of course, rape is a global phenomenon. Only difference is some countries have higher statistics than others. And the statistics in South Africa, sadly, are surprisingly high. 40% of all South African women are estimated, will be raped in their lifetime. 40% is a sickeningly high percentage. So, of course, the current president, Cyril Ramaphosa, actually very recently called for a penalty punishable by death for rape offences because the statistics are out of control.
Yeah.
And one of the things that have come into play, which brings me back to what I just talked about the fashion industry, one of the things the government has focused on and blamed for this is the culture of patriarchy in South Africa. Now, these cultures of patriarchy are native to many countries, unfortunately still, which of course further sort of strengthens this idea of male-dominated societies, male-dominated families, environments. Even in the workplace it creeps up. So, which again, like I said, tells me that we have a hell of a lot of work to do.
So if I was to walk in your shoes tomorrow for the day, what do you think would be the main differences I'd feel or experience?
Well, I mean, it's like I said, I spoke to a colleague of mine, and she said it's fascinating how when a woman leaves the house, she has an entirely different set of things to worry about. And I said that's absolutely true. A man leaves the house and his main concern might be, hey, am I going to be on time? Am I meeting someone? Do I have enough money? on me. We have to worry about our safety. We have to worry about not getting snatched or grabbed or felt up on public transport or looked at in a way that's a bit intimidating or slightly perverted. Because even in well-developed cultures, there's still this idea that you are essentially there to be looked at.
Yeah.
Even though it happens on a different level. The fashion industry does have that very glamorous side of it. Despite the fact that, of course, it also has a darker underbelly. Like a lot of things. I mean, in recent years, there's also been a backlash from eating disorder groups and organizations blaming the fashion industry for eating disorders. While I think they do play a role, I think it's unfair to completely lay the blame at their door. Because there are various things that come into play when it comes to perpetuating unrealistic standards of beauty, unrealistic ideals. Social media also plays a large role in making people generally feel inadequate. If you look at the way teenage girls particularly suffer in terms of image problems and constantly portraying themselves in a certain way. Yes, the fashion industry does have a strong hand in that. Telling people in order to be beautiful, you need to be thin, you need to be tall, you need to be, what you might say, European looking, because that makes you more acceptable. It's only recently that I've started accepting other ideas of beauty. I walk around with my afro and people look at me differently. Then they look at me when my hair is blow dried. And this I've noticed.
Really?
When I interact with people. I wear my hair straight and people interact differently. I have an afro and it's the perception of me all of a sudden changes. It's different. And that is why I won't straighten my hair, because I'm not here to make other people feel comfortable about the ideas of what beauty is. I like my hair the way it is. I don't have to change it to appease others. But of course a lot of people have problems. That is also why sadly you find a lot of Asian women bleaching their skin, African women wearing wigs or weaves, because we live in a Western culture that perpetuates one idea of beauty. We then feel that we don't fit into this or we're not accepted somehow, and that things have to change, and that is why I won't straighten my hair. It's not just that I like my afro, it's also a statement. Saying I will not be forced into your standards of what you think is beautiful. In terms of all these things, the ridiculous rape statistics, the role the fashion industry plays, the way we groom our children, these things are all connected.
Do you think it will flip one day?
Oh, it's never going to flip. It's always going to be a work in progress, I think. Because when things have been ingrained in our societies for so long, for hundreds of years, they never just flip. They have to change over a period of time, and it's something we have to keep working on. Because I'm always surprised and shocked by the fact that cultures sometimes go back 200 years, and you're like, whoa, what's going on here? I thought we were making progress. Then you discover that we haven't. That is why it's a constant work in progress, I'd say.
Yeah.
Well, a lot of people do see it as a form of art, using themselves as the canvas when it comes to fashion, of course. Dressing yourself in a certain way, certain color, certain prints. It doesn't matter if other people like it. The idea is I'm a walking canvas, and I'm the artist of this walking canvas. So this is how I want to look, whether or not people are comfortable with it.
Yeah.
You know, and I think that's what the fashion industry has always done. It has always pushed these boundaries.
I guess I immediately sensed vanity on their part. And that was without having any conversation or getting to know them, because there's a person underneath there. Yeah, immediately I could feel those like prejudices coming up.
You might be surprised to discover that the vanity is probably very carefully hiding feelings of insecurity or masking lack of confidence in some ways. Because I find that a lot in overly confident people. There's a deep-rooted insecurity that they're trying to hide in different ways. That might be the case.
You never know.
Yeah, that is why it's hard to judge. I don't know, I just wish people would understand, like, just like there are many faces to love, there are many faces to beauty. It's not something that we should try and narrow down.
Yeah.
Saying only this is beautiful, that's acceptable. Because that's simply ridiculous. There are many different ways in which people are beautiful.
Yeah. I think all these people at Fashion Week knew that as well. I was actually surprised just how surprised I was.
Yeah.
They were all very nice. I didn't really get too much sense of ego, to be honest, when I started actually
Yeah.
communicating with them.
Yeah, so those are my thoughts.
Fascinating. Again, so insightful. So we'll sign this one out for today.
Yes. Thank you, Louis.
Thank you, Mel.